In this lecture, we will be discussing on hardness test. What is hardness? It is a mechanical property that tells you about the resistance to plastic deformation, or it can also be defined as it's a mechanical property which tells you about the resistance to indentation and scratch. Now there are different types of hardness test possible. Macro hardness test can be done by Rockwell hardness test, Brinell hardness test and Vickers hardness test, and the micro hardness test which can be done a Knoop hardness test. In case of micro hardness test, the indentations are very small, generally done on very thin samples. Others hardness tests like Mohs, Shore and Barkol having their typical uses. So one by one we are going to discuss each of the hardness test. We'll start with the Rockwell hardness test. Here you can see the setup for the Rockwell hardness test, and here is the hand wheel. With the hand wheel, basically the elevator screw can be adjusted, which can be lifted, and over the elevator screw there is anvil, and over the anvil the sample that is to be tested that is placed. And here you can see in the indenter holder the indenter is set, and from the dial gauge directly you will get the Rockwell hardness number. Here you can see the load shifter through which basically the major load is provided on the sample, and here you can see the load selector. Okay, so the major the total load that is selected from the load selector. Coming to the basic principle on which the Rockwell hardness tester works. So here this is the indenter. Initially a minor load is provided. This minor load is generally provided through the elevator screw, and after this minor load given on the sample, let us consider this is the sample. As you can see, the major load is given along with the minor load. Okay, so after giving the major load, definitely there will be deformation within the sample, or the indentation within the sample, and this deformation, the deformation that will take place having two components. One is the plastic component, that is the plastic deformation, another one is the elastic deformation. So combining, this is the total deformation. Then it is allowed around 15 to 10 seconds at the loaded condition, 15 to 30 seconds at the loaded condition, and after that the major load is removed. And when the major load is removed, some amount of elastic recovery takes place. As you can see, this is what is the amount, the elastic recovery. So elastic recovery takes place, but this portion, that means from here to here, you can see the permanent deformation that taken place. Okay, so this permanent deformation, small d, definitely is a measure of the hardness, because if the material is soft, then definitely this permanent deformation will be more, and if the material is hard, then it will give more resistance, so this d will be small. So you can understand, if we call this is a hardness number, Rockwell hardness number, and d, how they are related. So if d is large, then Rockwell hardness number will be small. So d large means indentation will be more, that means it's a soft material, so Rockwell hardness number should be a smaller one. On the other hand, if d is small, that means the resistance is high, so the hardness number will be more. So this is a kind of relation that is to be developed, and that is why this calibration equation actually used to generate the Rockwell hardness number. So what is this capital D? Capital D is a constant. Okay, depending upon the scale, this constant is fixed, which is you can think in that way, from some zero reference line to the initial position. So this is fixed by the scale. So let us consider for the scale A, this value is say 100. Okay, so you can understand that this is a constant. So one constant, from this particular constant you are subtracting the indentation depth, and then you are getting the Rockwell hardness number. In this way the reverse effect is generated. Okay, so if you subtract, let us consider D, and if you subtract 100 minus D, you can understand that 100 minus D, if D is reduced, then 100 minus D will increase as a whole. Okay, and if D is increased, then 100 minus D will decrease. So in this way this quantity is considered as a Rockwell hardness number. But actually some scaling factor is there, so that is why you can see the indentation depth caused by the measured load divided by the scaling factor. Scaling factor comes from the gear ratio that is there within the dial gauge, and because of the unit conversion to some extent. And you can see this is what is the constant value for the C scale. Here you can see for the C scale the value is 100. In the previous slide you have seen this quantity as capital D. Okay, so the basic idea is the indentation depth small d that is subtracted from the capital D. This is what is the basic idea of finding out. HR means the Rockwell hardness number in the C scale. C indicates a particular scale. Similarly, Rockwell hardness number in the B scale. In the B scale you see that particular constant value is 130. Okay. Now there are different Rockwell hardness scales from A to V, as you can see here, and you can see that Rockwell hardness test can be done in a wide range of material, from a very soft to very hard materials, and that is why the different scales are there. So the first thing is that depending upon the material you have to select the suitable scale, and for that particular scale, what we mean by a particular scale? A scale means a combination of indenter and the measured and minor load. So for let us take one example like scale A. What is the indenter of scale A? It is a diamond cone indenter where the cone angle is 120 degree. Okay, then what is the minor load? The minor load you can see in almost all the scales it is 10 kg. Okay, in major load, for different scales the major loads are basically different, and the total load is sum of the minor and the major load. And here this is basically the capital D, the constant value for the calibration formula that you have seen, that is 100 for the scale A, 130 for scale B, and that is why these are defined. Okay, I will recommend you try to remember at least the first three scales for the exam, as you can see that what is the indenter used for these scales and what are the minor and the major load combination. This is important. So you can see that A scale is suitable for very hard materials. You can see that cemented carbide, carburized steel, so very hard materials, scale A is suitable. On the other hand, scale B is suitable respectively softer materials. Okay, so soft steel, very soft steel, copper, aluminium, for this kind of non-ferrous, most of the cases scale B is suitable for the non-ferrous materials, where scale C is suitable for the high grade steels, different kinds of steels, and titanium, tungsten. Okay, generally the harder materials that is suitable, and I will recommend at least try to remember the materials used in A, B and C. This is a typical diamond cone indenter. As you can see that this angle is 120 degree diamond cone indenter, and here you can see a typical 1/16 inch steel ball indenter is also used in certain scales. As you can see that in scale B 1/16 inch steel ball is used as indenter. Now coming to Brinell hardness test, on the same test setup you can use the Brinell test. What is the principle? The principle here you have to remember that the ball indenter is used, and that material of the ball either can be steel. So in that case Brinell hardness S indicates steel, or the Brinell hardness tungsten carbide, W indicates the tungsten carbide. So the material of the ball can be steel or tungsten carbide. So this is the indenter, and the indenter diameter is represented capital D here. And then a load is applied. Suppose the load is P, that is applied in kg force, and it will definitely create some impression on the sample. So this is what is the sample. It will create an impression, and if you take the projection from the top of the impression, you will see this kind of a impression of the indentation, and that length or the diameter of that indentation that is measured with the help of a low power low magnification microscope, generally 10x is sufficient, and you can see, you take few data and then take the average of that. So here you will take the average of this, and you will get the indentation diameter, small d. So here you can see, you put the value of the indentation diameter, put the diameter of the indenter that is used, and the load. Remember, the diameters are in millimeter and the load in kg force. Then you will get the Brinell hardness number. Okay, so basic principle of the Brinell hardness number is, it is based on the area, the indentation area, the curved surface area, that if you calculate, that is basically this quantity. So the basic principle is on area. Previously we have seen, in case of Rockwell hardness, it was the indentation depth, that is the basic criteria on which the hardness number is generated. Typical values of the diameter, you can see it is the 10 millimeter steel ball which is recommended, and 3000 kg force is the load that is applied. But you can also test in a setup where the limit of the load is there. In that case, you remember, you have to keep in mind that P by D square has to be constant, and then you can select different load or the lower load from 3000 kg. Okay, if your setup do not have capacity up to 3000 kg force, in that case what you have to do, you have to reduce the diameter of the ball. How you are going to reduce the diameter of the ball? Such that this P by D square is constant. So what is the value of this P by D square? You can see it is 3000 divided by 10 square, that means 30. So you select your P and D such that this P by D square is 30. Okay, now this is very, very important, that there is a direct relationship between the Brinell hardness number and ultimate tensile strength of the material. Okay, many materials having a direct linear relationship with the hardness number. That means if you plot the hardness, Brinell hardness, and the ultimate tensile strength, sigma ultimate, you will get the data falls almost in a linear fashion. So definitely, depending upon the material, these constants are different, but most of the steels, for most of the steel samples, the relationship is that ultimate tensile strength in megapascal, remember, ultimate tensile strength in megapascal is equal to 3.45 into Brinell hardness number, BHN. Okay, so the Brinell hardness number you will calculate using this formula, and then multiply 3.45, then you will get the ultimate tensile strength in megapascal unit for most of the steel samples. So here I have tried to show you the indentation measurement. That means the diameter of the indentation is measured under microscope. As you can see, the microscope, low power microscope is graduated, and you can get the diameter of the impression. Okay, so initially it is centered, and after that the measurement is taken. Remember that Brinell hardness test is not suitable for very hard materials. Okay, here you can see the typical values of the Brinell hardness number for these materials, and these are the typical Brinell hardness number values. But you see chromium carbide, tungsten carbide, they are very hard materials, and for them you see these are all Vickers hardness number. These are star marked, you see. So these are not generally done under Brinell hardness. These are very hard materials. Next we'll see the Vickers hardness test. Again, remember the Vickers hardness test, this is the indenter, and the indenter material is, again, it's a diamond, but it is not a cone shaped, it's a square pyramid. In case of Vickers, it is a square pyramid shape, and the angle between the opposite diagonals is 136 degree, and when it will make a mark on the sample, you will get this kind of a an impression. So what you have to take, since it's a square base, you have to take the length of the diagonal. Okay, so length of the diagonal, definitely these two, you have to take the average of the diagonal values. So this is what is the thing you have to do, and based on that the calculation is there to calculate the Vickers hardness number. So here you can see the Vickers hardness number or the diamond pyramid hardness number. Diamond pyramid hardness or the Vickers hardness number is all the same. You have to use this formula, 1.854 into P divided by L square, where L is the average length of the diagonal, okay, in millimeter, and P is in kg force. That you have to remember. And regarding the load can vary from 1 to 120 kg. So, remember that the Vickers hardness test can also be done as a micro hardness test. Okay, so Vickers can be done both micro and macro hardness test. Now, suitable materials, already discussed that very hard materials Vickers hardness test is generally done for very hard materials, as you can see the typical values in the table. Now coming to the Knoop hardness test, this is a micro hardness test, and in this case again the diamond indenter is used, but that pyramid indenter, diamond indenter, is not having a square base. As you can see, the impression that will create, the two diagonal lengths will be different, and the longer, the basic Knoop hardness number is based on the longer diagonal length, and the typical ratio of the geometry of the indenter, as you can see. So you can see here is the impression, and you have to take the longer diagonal, length of the longer diagonal, and that L is used in the formula, and P is the load that is applied, and C is a constant that manufacturer provide for that particular indenter. Remember, for the material, generally Knoop hardness is tested on very hard materials, and it is suitable for very thin specimens at some micro hardness, you know. And the typical values of some materials, these are the typical Knoop hardness number. Coming to the other hardness test like Mohs test. Mohs test is not a quantitative test that we have seen till now. This is kind of a qualitative one. Okay, so here you can see the Mohs scale from a very soft material, talc, graded as 1 in the scale, and diamond, the hardest one, graded as 10, and others are in between. So it is basically this Mohs test is also called a scratch test, because if an unknown sample is there, so that is scratched by these different standard samples, and if it's scratched over the surface, that means this particular material is softer than that particular grade, so you have to go to the lower standard sample to scratch over it to identify its position within this scale. Now short test typically used in the soft plastic or the rubbers. This test is done. Two important scales which are very popular, Shore A and Shore D scale. Shore A scale is for the soft plastic, thermoplastics and the softer rubbers, whereas Shore D scale is suitable for the harder one. The basic principle is again by the indentation, and the instrument through which the short test is done is called the durometer. Okay, that is why this is also called the durometer test or the short durometer number. Okay, and here you can see the typical geometry used for the indenter in A and D scale. This is a comparative scale, and some materials has been given, like a rubber band you see in the short scale, it is short A scale it is 20, whereas the shoe heel in the short D scale is 30. Okay, you can see the shopping cart wheel having it is, I think the short D scale is suitable for the measurement for this kind of hard materials like hard hat. You can see it is the short D scale which is the ideal one. The Barkol test is again a very important test specifically for the industries in the aluminum industries, because from the soft aluminum to the very hard aluminum alloys, the Barkol test is done. Basic principle is again by indentation. In the fiberglass industries, this is very common, the Barkol number, and to find out the hardness, and other composite materials it is also used, suitable for the very hard plastics or the thermosetting plastics. Okay, here you can see through indentation from the dial gauge directly you will get the reading. Okay, thank you.